On today's episode, I'm answering some questions I got from This Design Life magazine. Questions about clients, work, how I got started as a designer. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to another episode of Wins and Fails. This episode is going to be a bit different in terms of structure. I'm not going to share what happened last week and how I'm planning this week. Instead, I want to answer some of the questions I got from This Design Life. They sent it a while ago. I never got to answer them, and just answering questions in the email takes me so long that I'll just do a video about it. You'll be able to enjoy it. They'll be able to post it in their magazine, and hopefully everybody wins. So I'm just going to go through the questions and answer them one by one. So let's get started. First question is, when did you realize you wanted to be a designer? So I think it somehow became a natural thing. Back when I was in high school, two things happened. First of all, I got started to discovering the internet and got a copy of Photoshop and just started playing around with doing graphics. I would call it like doing graphics back at the time. Also, the second thing that happened is I started learning how to draw. So I got a book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, which was very instrumental because I actually learned how to draw from that specific book, and it showed me that I can learn stuff by myself. And so combining those two skills, like playing around with Photoshop and drawing, and kind of started doing logos for classmates who were running IRC chats back in the day, I just got started interested in that. I don't think that I knew that it could actually be a job, or at least maybe I wasn't even thinking about what I want to do later on in life, but I just kind of became a hobby. And then I had to do my military service because everybody in Israel has to do military service. And during that time, even though it had nothing to do with the job that I had at the time, I also started playing around with logos for the various teams that I was working with. Also kind of learned how to do 3D and started doing freelancing on the side, even though it wasn't like practically legal while I was in the military service. And then when I got off the army, I actually got a job as a graphic designer, and that was super lucky, I would say. I had a daughter of a friend of my mom who was working as a graphic designer in a company, and she was like, do you want a job? And I kind of like tried to create a portfolio from all the things that I was doing for fun. I was like kind of picked up photography for fun, and they were like, that's not really close to what we do, but maybe we can help you and teach you. And that job was actually my first job as a graphic designer, and it was actually I learned a lot on that job and actually realized that I want to learn, and I want to spend my life doing that. After that, I moved into a bigger advertising agency and kept working there. And only there I realized I actually want to go to school and learn that stuff. So actually, when I went to school, I already have like 2 years of practical experience working as a designer. And at that point, it was obvious to me that that's kind of what I want to do with my life. So that's basically the backdrop story. Second question, how did you get started? What was the biggest hurdle you overcame? So I think I just basically shared how I got started. And so I was working in an advertising agency, also part-time while I was studying design, and I studied design for 4 years, kind of like working part-time in the advertising industry on the side, also always doing freelance projects, kind of like branding and websites, always kind of for fun. I would say that the biggest hurdle that I had, and I don't think it's very original, but it's just something that I know that I struggled with, is pricing my work. And I guess it's a result of two things. So the first one is, when you get into something because it's your hobby, then you're not used to getting paid a lot for it, or you think it might be wrong. I don't know, at least for me, when I started, I was in high school. So obviously sometimes you're doing stuff for free, for your friends or for your family. So you don't really know how to charge for it. You don't really know what's valuable. Everything at that point when you're in high school would be good money. So you don't have to pay the rent out of that. And also, as my first few jobs were in the advertising industry, to be super honest, the pay there isn't huge. So I was kind of like almost minimum wage working. And so for me to understand how to price, and how to price based on value, and how to even realize what's the value of the work that I'm doing, took a lot of time and a lot of struggle. And I actually had always a lot of internal struggles every time that I was trying to ask for a raise in the jobs that I was working at, even though I knew I was doing a good job, but I always had kind of like it was very difficult for me to ask for a raise or to ask for more money when doing freelance projects. And I had to like read a lot of books about negotiation and kind of open my minds and eventually I think that what happened was that I got an insight into seeing other people who made a lot of money, and that kind of broke kind of the glass ceiling for me, because when I saw other people doing it, I knew that, hey, if they can do it, probably I can do it too, which is why I choose to be very, very transparent with how much money I make, just because I think it's super important for other people to know what's possible, because I certainly didn't know that it's possible to make a lot of money as a designer. So I think it's important for other people to know it, because I don't think that I'm better or certainly not more talented than other people. And so I think it's very important that other people know that it's possible, and it's a lot to do with your, state of mind and how you price and how you perceive yourself, because a lot of us designers are very much underpricing our value because we come from this kind of a hobby place. All right, what's been the most successful way for you of getting clients? So I think I've said that a lot on this YouTube channel and on my Instagram as well. The best way for me to getting clients has been through referrals and through my personal network of friends. So a lot of my design work come from my designer friends. I have a lot of designer friends, both from school and from other, I go to events here in Israel. And so I have a lot of local friends and community of designers. And a lot of the projects that I get are from my other designer friends who sometimes, they are not freelancing anymore because they took on a full-time job, but they're still getting offers. So they might pass them on to me, or somebody is fully booked, they might pass the work to me as well. So, and obviously past clients recommend me to their friends. So I think that really is my best channel for getting clients. Next question, how do you get clients to stay with you and use you for more work? The answer is just to follow up and stay in touch with them, mostly because it turns out that I kind of like become friends with my clients, and I really enjoy and care about them and their business. So every once in a while, I was like, hey, do you want to go grab lunch or grab coffee and catch up for a little bit? And it's not like I'm not trying to sell anything. I really want to hear what they're going through at the moment and how they've been doing. Sometimes they were like, hey, you know what? Let's do another. We also need something else. But I'm not really trying to do that. I just try to stay in touch and keep the relationship going. And sometimes that leads to longer term relationships. All right. Do you ever have issues with clients paying late? How do you manage that? So I would say that during the first, the earlier in my career, that might have been a struggle. At this point, it's really not a struggle. I don't have that problem anymore. And I think that also has two contributing factors, I would say. So first of all, it's the type of clients that you work with. If you work with great clients who are like decent people from successful companies, they're not going to be issues paying you. If you work with, sketchy people or people whose business is, they might have problems with their business, that is maybe more likely. So I think that as I've migrated to working with better clients and even charging more money, those problems kind of like solve themselves. One more thing that I didn't used to do when I just started out, and I think is crucial to helping getting paid properly, is just taking a big down payment. Right now, I'm taking 50% of the project as a down payment. So I don't even get to work before I got half the money. And so even if they're late with the later payments, still I got most of my money, but most likely they're not going to be late with their other payments as well, just because when they put so much money up front, they're very invested for this to go the right way. Also, I kind of anchor the payments to, sending over the deliverable. So if it's a website that I'm working on, I will never transfer. I work with Webflow when I develop websites, so I'll never transfer the project to their ownership before I got the final payments. So that's kind of how the contract is structured. So so they just pay because they want to own their work. Also, it says in the contract that the intellectual property does not transfer to them until they pay the last payment. All right. Next question. What does your typical workday looks like? All right. So a typical day, I'll share what today looks like, even though I'm not sure that it's a typical day. But today I woke up at 5 a.m. just to sorry, just to train before the kids wake up. My kids usually wake up around 6 a.m. in the morning. So I woke up at 5 to train. I don't do that every day. Sometimes I just wake up at 6 with the kids. Then I spend the morning with the kids doing breakfast, eating together, getting them prepped for kindergartens. I'm taking them today. I took them to the kindergarten, and I finished that around 8:30. Then I'm heading to this office. Usually start the morning just like with 20 minutes of going through the emails. Right now it's basically looking at sales, were there sales for my online course while I was sleeping. Then I try to batch out the morning, which is my most productive time of the day, for kind of like deep work sessions. So I'll do one thing probably from like 9:30 in the morning until my lunch break. I usually try to take lunch break with other people because, as you can see, I'm working from this office alone here. And so, that's my kind of engagement with other people. I'll eat lunch with somebody, then come back, do all the afternoon work as well, try to batch it into kind of a deep work session. At the end of the day, I always leave like 30 minutes for kind of like documentation. It's reviewing everything that I did for today and planning tomorrow. This is also something that I work with my coach. So this is kind of a document that we have together. I write in it every day, and then at the end of the week, we're reviewing it. So every day I kind of finish off with documentation, head home, leave the office around 6. So I'm home at 6:30, spending the evening with the kids, family dinner, and then when the kids are down to sleep around 8, spend the rest of the evening with my wife, and going to sleep. So basically pretty chill, I would say, lifestyle. All right, any piece of advice and wisdom that you'd like to give to the reader of This Design Life? So I think basically, I have this YouTube channel where I'm sharing insights every single day. Now I'm also started to share kind of like behind the scenes stuff on my Instagram. So I guess you can visit there if you want to get more insight. Usually I share everything that I know. I would say that, just to try to summarize everything that I usually say, both on this YouTube channel and in this interview is, try to learn, always try to learn, always try to progress yourself, whether it is, with skills such as, learning, becoming a full stack designer with multiple skills, such as for me, it's like video, writing, web development, having a lot of skills, and complement that with soft skills like, time management, negotiation, communication, all that type of skills. That's what I always try to do, and from my experience, it's working really, really well to create more value and help me succeed. Hope you're having an awesome day. People of Design Life magazine, thank you for reaching out, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.